Okay, everybody, so here's the next article. What Ralph Breaks the Internet teaches us about friendship and what it means to be in a healthy relationship. I was excited to watch I was excited to watch Ralph Breaks the Internet because I enjoyed the first movie so much. Wreck-It Ralph stood out to me when it was released in 2012 because it's set in an arcade game world. Being a game enthusiast, I enjoyed the many references to old arcade games such as Pac-Man, Tron, Sonic, Street Fighter, and various other arcade games that brings out fond memories. The story. Wreck-It Ralph and its sequel imagine each characters within the arcade games to have a life, as many of Disney movies do to other inanimate objects. They get out of their in-game role and socialize inside a power strip once the arcade store closed down during the night. In Wreck-It Ralph, the story explores our perspective of good and bad by putting the main character, Ralph, as the game villain in Fix-It Felix Jr. game. The inhabitants of this world treated Ralph badly just because of his role as the bad guy in the arcade game. Tired of being mistreated, Ralph went on a journey to earn his neighbor's respect and met with Vanellope von Schweetz, a character from a racing game who was excluded by her peers due to random glitches which caused her to randomly teleport to other places. After exciting adventures, Ralph and Vanellope become best friends, and Ralph lives in harmony with his neighbors after earning their respect. Ralph Breaks the Internet is set exactly 6 years after the end of Wreck-It Ralph, matching the release year of the movie, because the first one was 2012 and this one was 2018. By this time, Vanellope begins to feel bored because of her game. Sugar Rush no longer receives new updates, and she has only 3 racetracks to play, all of which she can win fairly easily due to her glitching skills. She's thinking about the possibilities of having some changes in her life, but when she asked Ralph whether he wants anything in his life to change, he said that his life was perfect, and that the only thing he wishes to change was to not have to work every day in that game. Later, in an attempt to cheer Vanellope up, Ralph inadvertently caused a teenage player to broke Sugar Rush's steering wheel, rendering the arcade machine unusual and to be sold for parts by the store owner. To save the machine from being plugged out, Ralph and Vanellope try to find a replacement by going into the internet. In the World Wide Web, they stumble across a dangerous racing game called Slaughter Race, where they need to steal Shank's car in order to earn money to buy the steering wheels. Shank is the heroine in Sugar Rush in the Slaughter Race game and is an amazing racer. After stopping Ralph and Vanellope from stealing her car, she shows them other ways to earn money from the internet, and Vanellope instantly senses an admiration towards Shank's cool style, cool car, and the cool way she talks. Because she's voiced by Gal Gadot, Ralph is visibly jealous by Vanellope's interest in Shank because he has been her only best friend for 6 years, and this new encounter has brought up his insecurities. The character's persona. Ralph was mistreated and excluded for 30 years in his own game, but by the end of Wreck-It Ralph, he finally found a best friend in Vanellope. This bond has lasted for 6 years, and Ralph is perfectly content with the life he has. Vanellope's friendship has provided comfort and company to Ralph's otherwise lonely existence in the arcade game world. Her presence has become Ralph's beacon of hope, and he clings to it as much as he can. Vanellope, on the other hand, was portrayed by a highly independent character since the beginning of Wreck-It Ralph movie. Sugar Rush characters considered her as a glitch, sometimes that shouldn't even exist in Sugar Rush, so she lives in isolation. To make matters worse, she couldn't leave her game world because she's a glitch, so she had no other option but to stay within Sugar Rush realm. The difference between her and Ralph is that we can see Vanellope is very comfortable being on her own, and she has no need for other people's assurances about herself. She has known from the beginning that she's a racer, and she just wants to race. This trait is best known when in the final scene of the Wreck-It Ralph movie. It's revealed that Vanellope is actually the princess of Sugar Rush. She chose her actual wear over her fluffy princess gown and declare her presidency over the Sugar Rush kingdom. When Shank was introduced in Ralph Breaks the Internet, she's a badass leader of a racer crew whose only job is to destroy players who are trying to steal her car in Slaughter Race. Even though she's the antagonist for Slaughter Race players, she doesn't exhibit any evil traits. She's mature, tough, honest to herself, and she accepts people no matter their appearances. She doesn't see Vanellope as a kid needed to be saved. She saw her as an equally talented racer. Her openness and wisdom are what made Vanellope feel accepted, but also challenged to be the better version of herself. The toxic dynamics. It's no doubt that Ralph learned a lot about accepting himself from Vanellope during their interaction in Wreck-It Ralph movie. However, once you rewatch the movie, it becomes quite clear that Ralph defines his identity by how the world sees him. He doesn't accept his character as the bad guy in the Fix-It Felix Jr. game, so he tries to prove himself a hero by trying to get a hero medal from another game without thinking of the repercussion of his actions. By the end of the first movie, Ralph finally accepts himself as the bad guy, but in his mind he sees himself as Vanellope's hero, and that becomes his new identity for the sequel. He has to save Vanellope, no matter what, because he's her hero and she's only a child. Another interesting thing about Ralph is that even though the inhabitants of Fix-It Felix Jr. has accepted him, we don't see him socializing with other characters other than Vanellope. Ralph and Vanellope spend their time together every night and every morning before work. They are best friends, but it doesn't seem like they have other friends besides each other. You think but Felix and Calhoun, but I mean, yeah, they're a married couple. They want to spend time together. Ralph is very much accepting of this condition, but Vanellope seems like she wants more out of life. Something Ralph couldn't easily understand because he thinks that Vanellope's life should be enough with him as her only best friend. Yeah, see, that's one thing, is that I'm sorry, but Ralph really shouldn't keep Vanellope all to himself. I mean, there are other people that want to be her friend, like Shank and the rest of the crew, and the Disney princesses, and yes, it's like all these people want to be her friend, and especially Shank, but it's like he doesn't want to accept that, and in this situation, I was like that because it's like I didn't want Brody to. I felt like the Navy. I mean, I wanted to keep Brody all to myself, but I felt like I really shouldn't because, he's a grown man. He needs to take care of himself. So in Ralph's case, he needs to learn that Vanellope, even though she's a kid, she is mature enough and independent enough to take care of herself, and we need to respect that. The dynamic shown here becomes more codependent for Ralph, as he can't imagine a world without Vanellope, and he becomes very insecure when Vanellope begins to show interest in befriending Shank, a new character in their life. Ralph's clingy nature is shown again when Vanellope wants to help drive audiences to Ralph's video channel so that they can get more money to pay for Sugar Rush steering wheels. Ralph is very reluctant to let Vanellope go into the web alone. In his eyes, she was a kid that he saved and forever will be a kid who always needed his protection. He failed to see Vanellope's adventurous nature and the fact that she has lived through a tough life before they met. When Ralph overheard Vanellope talking to Shank that she's not ready to come back to Sugar Rush, he's outraged. He quickly blames Shank for brainwashing Vanellope and looks for a way to make Slaughter Race World less fun so Vanellope would want to go back to him with Sugar Rush. He found a virus which amplifies insecurities and spread them, first to Slaughter Race, but then the virus escaped and spread through the whole internet. Ironically, the biggest insecurities were Ralph's own, so the virus produced giant-sized Ralphs, who wrecks everything in his path while trying to grab Vanellope and keep her as Ralph's only friend. The resolution. The giant-sized Ralphs are causing chaos in the internet while Vanellope and real-sized Ralph tries to run from them. When real Ralph is captured by the giant-sized Vanellope, Vanellope offers to sacrifice herself so the giant-sized Ralph won't squeeze real Ralph to his death. Real Ralph then realizes that Vanellope still cares about him very much, even though she has a new friend, and that he needs to let her go if Slaughter Race makes her happy, even if it means they won't be together all the time. After Ralph learns to let go of his insecurities, the giant-sized Ralph dissipate, and all is well in the World Wide Web. Yep. So basically, in this situation, I need to let Brody, I need to let him go. Let him do his own thing. But I mean, he needs to know that I'm still his friend, even though I haven't talked to him in like over a year. But yeah, I mean, so all right, we're almost done with this article. the takeaway. The conflicts in Ralph Breaks the Internet revolves around toxic dynamics and relationships where people are controlled by their insecurities. While the drama and character development are not as focused as the first movie due to the plenty of context and characters shown in this movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet addresses the topic of a healthy relationship very nicely. It's easy to get lost in our own insecurities, thinking what we're doing is the best for the people we care about when in fact we're sabotaging and trying to control their life in the futile effort to keep our relationship the same. Look at what Ralph did to Vanellope. His insecurity has overcome his rationality so much that he tries to sabotage Vanellope's happiness just so he can get to be her only best friend. When Ralph does what Ralph does is dangerous, though not all uncommon in real life. Too often people stay in toxic relationships believing that what the partner does for them is a heroic act when in fact the partner is only feeding their insecurities and trying not to lose control over the life of others simply because they want to feel like a hero. We need to be aware that when we are being controlled, or if we start to exhibit the same tendency to control the people we care about because of our insecurities. At the opposite of Ralph's insecurities are Shank's maturity. She teaches Vanellope to accept that relationship evolves, that it's okay for best friends to like different things, or even not to be together all the time. In any relationship, communication is key, and Shank knows this. So she reminds Vanellope to talk to Ralph about her unwillingness to come back to Sugar Rush, so that they can talk it over and figure out what it means and how they will navigate the new dynamic of their relationship. Towards the end of the movie, Ralph realizes his insecurities is done to Vanellope and apologizes, which she replies, I never wanted to stop being friends with you. I was angry at you for being a bad friend, and you were being a bad friend. Yep. And, that was Brody's problem. He doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't. So, yeah. And then there's another quote that I really like that Vanellope says, and I really wish that Brody would learn from this because it's true. He thinks that he can live his life without me. Well, here's what Vanellope says. So during the part where they're trying to lure all the Ralph clones, Vanellope says, you who up here, it's me, your bestest friend in the whole wide world that you can't live without. So I really wish that Brody would learn from that. It's like, I am the best friend that you can't live without. At least put me in your life. I know, before, he was the happiest he's ever been when we were together. So it breaks my heart knowing that, but it is what it is. And I'm hoping eventually we'll be able to talk it out, In a healthy relationship, all parties involved should eventually be a better version of themselves. Friends can argue, get mad, or frustrated about each other's behavior, but they can also sit down and talk it out, admit to each other when they made mistakes, apologize, and figure out a solution that benefits all parties. Plus points for Disney. Sometimes this movie feels like a showcase for Disney to show the world the huge amount of IPs they have, ranging from the classic princesses to Marvel and Star Wars. Plus points for Disney to show all the Disney princesses making fun of their story arcs and enjoying their time in casual shirts instead of constantly wearing puffy dresses. Also great on the Avenger-like scene when the princesses save Ralph from falling face first to the ground. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this video. And yeah, we'll talk about the next article. Hey guys, so I actually did the 2 articles, but I decided to delete them because they didn't really talk about anything. Like they basically just told they were just little friendship ones, and one of them it was talking about this one lady. So I decided not to do those 2 articles. So yeah, the Frozen 2 one will probably not be out for a while because the movie hasn't come out yet, and once I see it, then I'll do a video about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series for now, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.